Welcome to Love and Money Secrets TV, and I am your host, Dame Lillian Walker. And today we are talking about how to handle an angry kid and how to use the Lampost Technique. So you're probably wondering what would possibly qualify me to be instructing you on how to potentially discipline your child and how to handle them in a moment that they're angry or none too happy or being kind of difficult. Well, that's a great question. So my answer to you is that I have successfully raised not one, not two, but 3 kids over the age of 18, 2 of which have already successfully graduated from the university. They've gone to college, graduated, still have one left in college. So that's what qualifies me. And I did not use corporal punishment with my children. We also did not allow derogatory language in our family. We did not allow the children to do name calling or call each other dummy or stupid or dingbat or any other kind of derogatory term, because I really believe it's important to respect a person's human dignity in all circumstances, and so I didn't want them to be doing that to each other. So long story short, I'm going to tell you a little story about my first big use of this Lampost technique. And what had happened was my older son had invited a friend over, and he was probably about 7 years old. And I'll never forget, my kids were pretty quiet in the house when they were playing with or without, their other friends. They're laughing. The loudest noises was their loud cackles and laughs, because they were pretty funny kids. But they were pretty quiet. I didn't hear the kids in his room, and so I kind of went in to peek my head in there and hit the pause button there. And one of the rules that I had was that I had told my son that every time he had a friend over, and even when he didn't have a friend over, when he was playing even himself, he could take out 1 or 2 or 3 toys, but no more than that, and then he had to put them away. And if a friend came over, it was his responsibility to tell the kid what the house rules were. And of course I would enforce them. But at this point, we'd been having so many friends over from the time they were toddlers that I knew that he had it handled. So I had not repeated this particular rule to this kid, because it was a non-issue. It was old shoe, because every single week we had kids over. It was incessant, right? So I poked my head into his room, and mind you, my house had white walls, white carpet, white furniture, white sofas. Everything was white. White kitchen cabinets. Like I said, everything was white. Well, I poked my head into his room, and I am aghast to realize that you cannot see what color the carpet is. It is. This kid had proceeded to empty out the entire contents of my son's closet. Every single toy, every box, every Lego, every lumberjack, every building block, you name it, it was all strewn across the floor. He also had a very large toy chest in his room. I don't recall if he emptied that out. I just remember that the closet doors were open, and the only thing that was in there were the hanging clothes. Everything else was littered all over the carpet. So I walked in there, I said, "Kyle, oh my gosh, what the heck happened?" And I picked up the first toy. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, didn't you tell him what the house rules are?" And as I picked up the second toy, I felt my blood starting to boil. Now, a little background. I very rarely get mad. I'm not one to get my, feathers ruffled easily, but for some reason, as I picked up the toys, I picked up one toy, I picked up the second toy, the thing that was going in my head, oh my gosh, it's gonna take 2-3 hours or more to clean up this entire mess. Why didn't he? I knew he had told him, but I'm like, why didn't he emphasize to this kid that no, you could only take out, he had always successfully handled this. And funnily enough, that was the only time that ever happened in his entire childhood. Or my other 2 kids, this was never an issue either. So long story short, I just noticed that as I was picking up the toys, of course they're not mad, they're not upset or anything. I'm the one who's getting all befuddled and kind of just, I could feel my blood starting to boil. Just because here I am, a busy mom. At that point I only had 2 kids. So I had him and his younger sister, and who was a toddler at the time. And now I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And I was running a successful business at the time. I had a mortgage bank. And I'm thinking, I don't have an extra 2, 3, 4 hours to put all of this away nice and neat. This is going to take 2, 3, 4 hours that I don't have. And I'm already only sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night. So I thought, oh, so I'm just fit to be tied inside. But I caught myself as my temperature was rising, and as I was raising my hands with the 2 toys, as quickly as I held them, I said, lamppost. I dropped them to the ground. I bolted out the door. Of course, my son bolted out the door too. Now, he's probably going, why are we lampposting? Because he's probably thinking, I'm not mad, I'm not angry. He's probably thinking, oops, about the toys, but he already knew what the drill was for lamppost. So we both run out the door. I run to the lamppost to the left. He runs to the right, lamppost to the right. We run to the lamppost. We tag it. We run back as fast as we can, touch the front door. I'm sure the kid in his room was going, what the heck just happened? What's going on? But I wasn't even thinking about that kid. I needed the lamppost tool for myself in that moment because I didn't want to lose it, and I was on my way to getting upset. So what's funny is that as soon as I touched the front door, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this works even better for grown-ups than it does for kids. This is fantastic. Didn't even take but 30 seconds. And I recognized that when I touched the lamppost on my street, that already my anger had dissipated just from that quick little burst of energy. And by the time, we touched the front door, we're both laughing our little assets off because it is a funny thing to, it's like a tangent. All of a sudden, I call out, because it's always the parent that calls out the lamppost, and then you run out the front door. You both take it's always a pre-assigned. So we would do it either in front of the house or in the backyard between the walls. I would go to the left, the child would always go to the right. So by the time I got to the front door, we're laughing because it is pretty funny at that point for some reason. The energy gets converted from anger to just joy and laughter and silliness. So then returned back to the room. I'm like, okay, now I'm cool, calm, and collected. I'm like, okay, so now I can have a discussion. And I'm like, what happened? Didn't you tell him that he's not supposed to take out? And he's like, yeah, I told him, but... And then I just looked at the kid. I'm like, you're going to have to help put some of this away. Although I knew that it wasn't within their capacity to put that volume of toys away. It would have to be myself and my son doing it later. And oh well. So, and now here I am sharing this lamppost technique with you. So by now you probably have a gist as to exactly what lamppost is. And basically, the Lampost technique is a technique where you take the child or the adult's energy of anger, frustration, annoyance, irritation, bothered, upsettedness, anything that is a lower vibrational, ugly feeling, and you're able to flip the switch and convert that energy to the same degree that they have it in anger, sadness, sorrow, grief, upset, frustration, angst, whatever it is, and flip it to the opposite side, joy, laughter, exhilaration, exuberance. And it happens in 30 seconds. No lie. It is absolutely uncanny. And all you do is that in the moment that you recognize that your child is starting to get angry, and you can do this with a child as young as 18 months old, because I started doing Lampost with my son when he was only 18 months old. And at first, any discipline that you enact with a child when they're first, starting off as toddlers, they have no idea what you're doing. That's true. It doesn't matter if they're an 18-month-old, a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old. At whatever point, whenever you're starting something new, they have no idea. They don't have a reference point. So you need to be the one to instruct them, and you lead them to showing them what it is that you want. So what I did when he was 18 months old was a little bit different than once he got the hang of it, then I just called Lampost. He knew exactly what to do. Our agreement was I would run to the, front of the house. So we'd run to the front door, run out the door, I would go to the left, my child would go to the right. We would touch the closest lamppost because we were equidistant in terms of where the lamppost, they're positioned pretty equally all along your street. So left, right, and then you run back as quickly as you can, and the first person who touches the front door obviously is the winner. So it turns into a competition. Needless to say, when they're really young, you just let them win because that's part of the fun. It's like you're acting like you're running faster than you are, like an 18-month-old. Obviously, you're not just going to leave them behind. So what you do with an 18-month-old, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, even a 4-year-old is you grab them by the hand and you look at them in the eye and you say, lamppost. And at first, they have no idea what you're doing. Lamppost, and then you turn them around and then you have them, they're going to be pouting. But as they're starting to walk faster and faster and faster, the energy is starting to dissipate and it's starting to transmute. It's starting to convert over to that fun, joyous, exuberant feeling instead of that bad feeling. Now their mind they're going, what's going on? So when their mind is no longer focused on whatever it is that's upsetting them, now they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And then now they realize, oh, wait a minute, this is like a game. And it is a game, but it's a game that is a tool to convert that energy. So as you run with them, with a really young child, like I said, 18 months old, you could do it in your backyard. You have the back wall on the left if you have a cinder block wall or chain link fence or whatever it is that you have that borders your property. You go to the left, you go to the right, your child goes to the right, you go to the left. Again, the first time with an 18-month-old, you're going to have to run with them, hand in hand, and then you touch the wall. You're like, lamppost, and then we got to run back, touch the back door. So then you run to the back door of the house, which is where you went out, and it's like, oh, you won. And so you're teaching them, this is the lamppost game. This is the game that we play in these type of circumstances. So what you're going to find, I use this, I don't really remember at what age we stopped using it, but I know that one of the things that I learned in raising my kids, it's funny because there's things that we already know as adults when we're raising our kids, and there are other things that we learn as we're teaching them. We learn things ourselves, about ourselves, and our perspectives change then as opposed to how we thought and how we behaved before. And this is one of those things where that was a tool that was intended to be a parenting tool to be used on my kids. And what I found was not only was it good on my kids, it was also good on adults. So, this is something that even couples, if you and your spouse, get into a tiff, some sort of disagreement or argument, and you feel your temper starting to rise, you can call Lampost, run and come back. That quick jolt of energy release transmutes the energy and converts it into a joyous, fun, exhilarating thing. And now you can think more clearly and more objectively, and you're more reasonable, and you feel so much better. So that's it. This is a short, quick little video on how to handle an angry kid or an angry adult, as it were, like in my case. And this is something that now your kids are going to be empowered with this tool for the rest of their lives. They'll have it. And I have it for the rest of my life until I go to the grave, till I can't walk or run anymore. So that's it. Let me know how you like this video. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. All my videos, I consider this an online classroom where in the comments below you can ask me any questions that you want. I will answer back in the form of a video. I always answer the comments, of course. But I thank you, my friends and gems, for tuning in, tapping in, turning on to Love and Money Secrets TV. And ciao for now.